Am I the asshole for wanting to go to my sister's wedding? I, 26F, have been an alcoholic for years, due to a lot of mental health problems, but have began to recover and I'm really happy with how I'm going. I'm not perfect but I'm getting there. My sister, 24F, is extremely proud of me and we're each other's best friends. She's getting married soon to the man of her dreams. He's actually very nice, but let's just say his mother is a nightmare. I was invited to be the mo at my sister's wedding, which I was honored by and accepted. But recently I got a string of text messages from my sister's future mother-in-law that apparently I shouldn't attend the wedding because she is afraid of me getting drunk and spoiling her son's special day. No matter how I am feeling, I would never do that, especially not at a wedding, because of how disrespectful it would be. I replied back saying I wouldn't, and she had no right to tell me not to go to my sister's wedding, and I would see her there. She then replied telling me that she didn't trust me due to how outgoing and loud I could be sometimes. Seriously though, she has never even seen me drink alcohol, and neither has my sister's finance. So she is basically just judging me on my normal personality. Later, my sister texted me warning me that her finance found out that his mom was planning to anonymously send a few bottles of my favorite beer to my house the night before the wedding, hoping I would get drunk and miss the wedding. I was disgusted and sent his mom a string of texts telling her I would have a restraining order put on her if she didn't fuck off. She then said that if I did attend the wedding, she would force her son to cancel it. I answered her saying it wouldn't do anything because her son loved my sister and isn't a pushover like most grooms with toxic mothers. Now my phone is exploding with threats from her to wear white at the wedding and do various other acts to try and ruin the day if I show up. My sister is insisting I come, and I want to, but I don't want her and her finance to have to kick his mother out, not that anyone would miss her. I'm planning to go still, but I feel horrible about all of this. My mom thinks I'm an asshole for forcing my sister to let me attend. Am I the asshole? And #X200B. Update. Hey guys, thanks for all the comments. My sister and her finance and I have all had a discussion and I have blocked the mother-in-law. My sister decided some revenge was in order. She's switching out her white wedding dress for a dark crimson one, and telling everyone else to wear white just in case. My sister is also changing the wedding venue without telling the mill, LMAO, and her finance is going to ask to get 100 pizzas delivered to his mother's house on the wedding day, asking his dad to ensure she's home in time for their arrival. Looks like she might be a bit busy on the day. And as we all know, she's going to have to pay for the pizzas. Usually I'm not interested in petty revenge, but this plan was made up all by my sister and her finance, so what can I do but respect the bride and groom's wishes? And as for the mill apparently going to send me the beer, I'm staying with my sister for the night to avoid that. Thank you all for the fantastic advice and support. Not the asshole, but your sister is going to have a hell of a time dealing with that mill. Not the asshole, both his mom and your mom can stay home. Why would your mom tell the mill your business, and why in hell is she saying that you're forcing your sister to let you attend? Your sister is choosing you. Your mom is choosing to punish you for the past. This is so ridiculous, I doubt it is true. The last part is what gave you away. Your sister is going to get sued by her mill, probably have to pay the legal expenses of her mill and very likely get a restraining order successful issued against her for harassment. Also, mill cannot be compelled to pay for the pizzas. This isn't the 1990s. The pizza companies record the ID of the device that orders the pizzas and will eventually trace it back to your sister or whoever she gets to order the pizzas. Worst case scenario, she may end up getting arrested on her wedding day. This has got to be one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard. Are you all five? Not the asshole. Ignore his overstepping mother and enjoy your sister's wedding. If the mother does send some beers your way, toss them. Then get on the internet and send a few dildos his mother's way. Am I the asshole for not giving the mother of my dead husband's child his possessions? Me, 30F, and my husband got married when we were 25 after 6 years. He passed away in an accident in April. A few weeks before the accident, I found out that he had a one-night stand with a woman who he works with. When he died, I hadn't decided yet what was going to happen in our relationship. We entered counseling and were still living together, but obviously it was hectic. As I wasn't sure if we were going to divorce, I decided not to tell our families and only confided in a few close friends and my therapist. I didn't want opinions from everyone. I also didn't tell his family when he died, there was no reason to. A few weeks ago, the affair partner reached out to me. She's 5 months pregnant and preparing to raise the baby. She wanted me to tell his family because she wants her child to have a relationship with his family and be connected to his culture. I said I wouldn't do this and simply passed along their contact information. Shit hit the fan. I am close with his brothers and I thought that they were going to raise him from the dead and kill him again. Apologies for the dark humor. They're coming around to the idea of having a relationship with the baby, but I do not want to. Nor has the mother offered, which is fine. The mother has gotten back in touch with me to ask for some of my husband's possessions. She wants his clothes, his books, his record collection, and bizarrely his wedding ring. For the baby to feel connected to its father. I've made it very clear to her that I will be giving her nothing of the sort. His parents and brother have some of his stuff and she can access things like that through them. She kept pushing and I lost my temper and called her an outrageous bitch who should find some shame. I wouldn't be opposed to passing some of the stuff along to the child via my in-laws when they're older and can appreciate it. Not the wedding ring, which was the worst request in my opinion, but other sentimental stuff. I've also retained a lawyer to look into whether I owe the child any money legally from my husband's passing. If I don't, I may set up a trust fund for them when they're an adult with his money because I really don't need it and that seems fair. I just do not want to give this woman all I have left of my husband. I really do not trust her with any of it. Obviously she thinks I'm a bitter raging monster bitch and an asshole and my in-laws are divided. My in-laws are largely supportive but some think that I need to give some of his stuff to her and the baby. Some of his brothers have told me that they're sympathetic but that I'm behaving like an asshole and a baby by not cooperating for the sake of the child. I'm unsure whether the complicated grief is clouding my judgment. And #X200B. ETA. My in-laws are getting a paternity test when the baby is born. This was the first thing they asked. However, the scans and due date line up perfectly when the affair occurred, so I think it is more than likely true, so we are preparing for this. Not the asshole. If she wants to get the possessions of her partner after they die, she should consider getting married instead of being the other woman. There's nothing bitter about what you're doing. She just doesn't know how life or the law works. Edit. It's not your job to have any sort of relationship with the child, and I also don't get why you'd need to set up a trust fund for the baby. Seems like you're willing to do more than you need to. Also, what exactly does your husband have that a baby would even want? You sound incredibly reasonable to me. You're willing to put things aside for the child, including a trust. You just don't want to deal with the other woman while in the midst of grief. Definitely talk to a lawyer and shut out the noise from those who are claiming your reaction isn't okay. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. You don't owe her any sentimental objects. The child, however, may be entitled to a portion of the inheritance, if the mother can prove paternity. I'm sure your lawyer will advise you correctly. Not the asshole. The side chick has some nerve. Not the asshole. I'm confused how any of his family could find what you have offered objectionable. Offering it through in-laws when child is older is more than reasonable. That none of them could see the unreasonableness of the asks when she asked for the ring is a bit strange. Also, I'm assuming she knew he was married when they had the affair? It really sucks, but at some point you may have to go no contact with his family, especially if this woman and child will now be in their lives. Had he lived and you divorced, this more than likely would have been necessary. Am I the asshole for telling my sister she is no longer welcome at my wedding? My sister and I have a difficult relationship. She was our parents' favorite child and younger than me by 3 years. She adored me and always wanted to hang out with me, but only wanted us to do what she liked, and the few times we did it was not enough for her. If I suggested we switch to something I'd enjoy more, she'd say no, she'd cry. Sometimes she even told our parents. That became the way she handled all her relationships. She wanted her own way and wanted to do what she wanted to do, never taking anyone else into consideration. It made her very unpopular after a while. She had friends until 2nd grade, but those friends got tired of her. Other kids found her unbearable and didn't want to spend time with her. She was lonely and sought me out to fill that void, but I was annoyed by her behavior just as much, and after explaining to her maybe twice that the way she expects to get her own way drove people away and it not doing anything, I simply didn't bother. I would say she could join me doing something I liked, and when she'd say no, I'd do it anyway. Our parents did force me to spend time with her when they were tired and wanted space. It was miserable for me. They never tried to teach her that she needed to be a good friend to others and couldn't always expect people to be a good friend to her and get nothing back. She was the same way all through school. Right until the very end, when she appeared to grow up, invited me to her graduation where things seemed better. She even lived with my fiancé and I for a short period after she appeared to have grown. Things were good. And then the old stuff started to appear a little more. I noticed it with her roommates first. Then it started to creep back into our relationship. When I got engaged she practically begged me to include her in the wedding, and things weren't so bad then, and I assured her she would be. It was after that things went downhill. She tried to take over and get her once put into my wedding, from what all the bridesmaids wore, and not just her, to the food, the music, everything honestly. I fired her as a bridesmaid and she was upset but was okay with being invited still at least. Not to mention she has lost jobs and was kicked out by her roommates for the way she behaves. Including stuff like saying they should all eat what she likes all the time and thinking her stuff should take precedence over others. We reached the point where she's now 90% back to her childhood self, has ignored all my attempts to point it out to her, and so I told her she was no longer welcome at my wedding. Invites have not been sent out yet. She was so upset. My fiancé was relieved I wanted to do that, because she was even trying to tell him the wedding had to be what she liked and not what we liked as the couple getting married. She accused me of being cruel to her and leaving her out like I always did. Some extended family were also thinking it was too harsh to not even invite her to my wedding. Am I the asshole? Not the asshole. She needs to learn how to behave and grow up. The minute she started dictation your wedding, you shut that behavior down. Good for you op. Info. Has your sister ever had any kind of therapy? 'Cause reading your post, her behavior sounds extreme. It has resulted in her losing jobs and relationships. That's not normal. If kicking her out gives you peace, stick to it. Not the asshole. Not the asshole. I hope she gets help. Am I the asshole for not attending my cousin's wedding and other family events over a service dog? My younger sister has a service dog, and since Christmas our mother's family, whom we've spent most family gatherings with since we were born, has asked that she leave her service dog at home on every occasion. The reasons vary, such as there's too many people and not enough space, guests at birthdays, showers, etc. have a fear of large dogs, and the most recent for my cousin's wedding that she doesn't want a large dog there to cause her stress that he might do something. For context, my sister is diagnosed with PTSD, generalized anxiety with major depressive episodes. Her service dog just got his official certification in January 2023, and has been in training since 2020 up until that time. He wouldn't ever be working around the family since it was believed he didn't need to and could be free to run and play with the other dogs. Now, even with the compromise of having him wear his vest for working, the family is unwilling to compromise. They say since she isn't anxious around the family there's no need for him there, so she can go a few hours without the dog. They justify this by arguing she went to Japan for 16 days without him, even though they don't realize the effort she and her husband went through to try and make it work but couldn't without jeopardizing the dog's life. Any insight on this would be helpful. Thanks. Edit. Zeus is a certified service dog for PTSD and anxiety. Not an ESA. He has undergone all the training and qualifications and is registered through government. My sister qualified on account of her physical conditions related to her diagnosis. Zeus alerts to panic attacks, migraines and fainting spells while also offering aid when needed like deep pressure. Having a service dog is described to our family as similar to having a prosthetic in that functioning without it is possible, however life becomes more challenging. With her service dog, her quality of life improves and her health is monitored around the clock. We as a unit, we agree that our cousin can ask for whatever she wants at her wedding and respect it. However, the decision falls with my sister and she has not felt welcome in the family for all the other events she's been asked not to bring her service dog. Edit 2. Thanks everyone for all your insights. I can see this as an uphill battle, with a fixation on the wedding itself, which makes sense. I put it in the title. It's the repeated exclusions from family events that is the real issue. I think both parties, my sister and her service dog versus my uncle and cousin, need to compromise. My sister has abided by their requests by not coming with the service dog to family events and feels excluded. They have made zero attempts to compromise or accommodate her needs. I'm struggling to understand why someone's convenience is more important than another's right to safety and security. Should someone in a wheelchair not be allowed to attend a family event if the homeowner doesn't want wheel marks on their carpet? I understand it's their right to ask to leave the wheelchair at home. They can still survive without it. But does that make it morally right? I've learned it's best to leave it to the situation. My cousin can request whatever and whoever she wants at her wedding. I've always respected that. If I should go or not go is still up in the air." Side note. Her dog is accredited through the AITA. Info: is this really a working AITA service dog, or a emotional support dog that they got a vest? Not diminishing either one, just most people use the term interchangeably. I'm not voting because the situation is unclear. I've read the comments and there's still no explanation as to why your sister could be without the dog for 16 days in Japan but not a few hours at a wedding. Also, by your own statements, at family events the dog wouldn't be working, but being a pet, so not sure why she would bring him. Are the other family dogs at the wedding? Either way, I don't see why you shouldn't go to the wedding even if your sister decides she doesn't want to go. I mean, not the asshole. I can see both sides, but I do sense some potentially assholish behavior from that side of the family. As in, I don't think it's totally fair of them to question your sister's need for a service dog overall. But because she can go 2+ weeks without the dog in a foreign country, and the dog used to run around like a pet, and if someone is afraid of dogs, I can sort of understand why they would request no dogs. But I would never request that. I would want my family members at my wedding and comfortable. In the end, if your sister is not able or comfortable going without her service dog, neither you or her are assholes for declining. It's perfectly reasonable. Not the asshole, your family is being unreasonable and terribly not understanding. Info: is this in the USA?